sus? It was supposed to be.
Sus.
Yeah. So cute. Sus.
Sus.
Exactly a year ago, I found myself in a kitchen that completely changed me, and I want to tell you that story today while I make my first recipe, which happens to be the traditional Mennonite chicken pot pie. This is a delicious, cozy dish that you can make this fall and all winter long. But exactly a year ago, through a series of very unfortunate circumstances, one of our children got burned. It was pretty traumatizing. Actually, it was the lowest point of my life, I would say, so far, for a number of reasons. And that's saying a lot with some of the other things that we've been through in life. But through a series of circumstances, we found ourselves in the home of an old order Mennonite lady. I'm talking horse and buggy on a farm. She has the skills of holistically healing burns, and she lives in my area. My sister let me know about her. And I will tell you, in one of the most frantic feeling situations of my life, walking into her kitchen that frantic day and then again and again for weeks afterwards was just such a calming memory during that hectic season. And I can't quite put my finger on it, but I'm gonna try. I was very thankful for the state-of-the-art burn center that helped to give my son care, but I was also equally grateful for the kind touch and the reassuring words of this simple woman who helped us stay on track with all of the bandaging and aftercare and just helping our son heal quickly and thoroughly. So as our van tires crunched through the gravel driveway up to the farmhouse porch, the first thing you would notice is the immaculately cared for gardens and flower beds, the pathway leading up to the front door. Everything was in pristine condition and groomed perfectly. After knocking on the door, she let us in. And as we stepped into her home, there was no grand foyer with a chandelier hanging from the ceiling, no giant wall clock or baby grand sitting in the corner. It was just her simple Mennonite kitchen, but immediately something felt different. It was well lit with windows all around looking out onto the barns. She had well cared for wood cabinets and a little sitting area off to the side. Her two teenage daughters were bustling around getting supper put away, and the men, I presume her husband and another son or two, were sitting in the corner on chairs by a lamp chatting. There wasn't any music playing or gaudy decorations. Everything on the counter had a purpose and was there for a reason. And as we stumbled in there, our haggard selves, which is how I felt, she just seemed so calm and welcoming. She told us to sit down. She opened a very carefully laid out drawer where she had all of her bandages and supplies. She had some burdock leaves steaming on the stovetop. And she quietly and efficiently took thorough care of my son, bandaged him up, and made us feel so much better about the situation. She encouraged us that things were going to be just fine and to come back in 24 hours and she would do it all again. Over those next weeks, I got to know her a little bit better, and I will say every time I stepped into her kitchen, I just felt a strange feeling of belonging, even though I did not know this woman. And ever since then, I've been trying to put my finger on how I can make my home feel that way. So I did come up with a few things that really made her kitchen feel otherworldly, and it had nothing to do with money or style, and we'll get to that in a second. But for this chicken pot pie I'm making here, it's a really simple base. You pretty much saute garlic, onions, carrots, celery with butter in your pan. And when those are soft, you add in the potatoes, which I got from my mom's farm. I like to keep the peels on because I feel like there's a lot of nutrition there, and I just like the texture of the crunchy potato skins. If you're making this chicken pot pie soup, I guess we'll call it, right now. You might even be lucky enough to be able to add some fresh herbs, which always makes it so much better. And I also smoked a chicken on the smoker earlier this morning, so I was able to pull that while it was still warm and add that to the soup. So something I have to worry about a lot more than my grandmother did is plastics in our home, and not only in our home, but in our bodies. Yes, plastics can make your way into your body, into your bloodstream. There's been studies showing that there's plastic in placentas now, crazy stuff. And I just am aware of that, and so I've been using Blueland for the last several years to help me to cut down on single-use plastic. I do not want plastic residue coating my dishes, so I use these. These are the dishwasher tablets. They look right like this. No plastic, as you can see. You just pop them in and you're good to go. It's so easy. Now, I really love their laundry detergent tablets. Again, you just throw them right in and you're ready to go. They get your clothes clean and they just smell fresh and like they actually went through the wash. And we only clean our toilets with their toilet tablets. They also currently have a holiday hand soap kit that contains 10 holiday scented tablets. I personally love the pine scent. Not only would this be perfect in your own home, but make an amazing gift for loved ones. It's a gift that can better their homes and also reduce waste this holiday season. These products I mentioned are concentrated pre-dose tablets that come in compostable packaging, free from paraffins, phosphates, ammonia, chlorine bleach, and phthalates. They are all made with certified clean ingredients, safe for you, your family, your pets, and the environment. They are EPA Safer Choice certified, EWG verified, Leaping Bunny, and Cradle to Cradle B Corp, which just means that you don't have to be scared of any of the ingredients that are coming into your home, yet they're gonna be effective and you're gonna stick with them over the long term. And right now, Blueland is sharing a special offer just for my viewers. All you have to do is click the link below to get 15% off of your first kit. Again, just click the link down below, blueland.com/meganfoxunlocked8, and that is going to get you 15% off of any of the kits that you decide to order. But back to the Mennonite version of Wonder Woman, I'd like to share some practical tips that I gathered from my experience of being in her kitchen, and I'm sure the rest of her home had I wandered around. And the first one is simplicity. Everything was simple and nothing was overdone or over-cluttered. Everything had a purpose and a spot for it. Everything had a place, even if it wasn't the normal traditional way. When we got there, she opened one drawer and inside, to my son's delight, was a bunch of kids' toys. In her kitchen drawer, she said yes, her grandkids love to play in the kitchen right underfoot while she's working. And when we renovated our kitchen this summer, I made sure to include in the plans a little toy drawer where I could store some toys so my children could be playing right there underfoot as I was cooking in the kitchen. That way we could chat or I could supervise. I just thought that was a genius idea I'd never seen anyone else do before. Also, everything was unhurried. She did not seem busy or bothered to have us there. She seemed like she had a purpose. Lots of traditional Mennonite women do not work outside the home. They're not interacting with lots of other people throughout the week, but you could tell that this was her mission. She didn't even want to charge us, which of course we tipped her and did pay for the supplies, but she looked at this little service as a mission she could do for others, even in her quiet, humble home on the farm. But you could just sense when you were there that you were not a bother. She was not in a rush to be anywhere or go anywhere. And when I mentioned this to my husband, he's like, well, think about it. She probably leaves the farm to go shopping once a week, maybe, and then to church on Sundays because she doesn't have her license. It's not convenient to go anywhere. She has to either bike or ride in her buggy or get a driver to take her long distances. And so her domain is seriously at home. She has time to keep immaculate flower beds and a bountiful garden and to take the time to parent her children in an unhurried manner. Now, her children were older. I think her youngest one was probably in their teens. But yeah, you guys know me. I love to go away almost every day. It's something that I enjoy, and I think I'll continue doing that. But there is something to be said for being at home because home as a homemaker is our priority. And when we're spending large amounts of time away from home, something suffers every time. I can speak from my own experience. Now, I don't want to be too hard on myself and to compare the feeling of my kitchen to hers because we are in very different places. You know, her children are older and she does have help, but it was very evident as her daughters were working that she did not have to give them any instructions. They knew what to do. There was an after supper routine in place that everybody knew their places, what to do and where to be, and everything just worked together, kind of like a coordinated dance. And I know I've gotten comments here and there over the years on YouTube of someone running into an old order Mennonite and feeling like they were snobby or reserved. And I would just like to stand up for maybe there's some folks that are just a little quiet and don't need to be the center of attention. So if you ever have that experience, maybe it's just more of a reserved, humble German Dutch culture coming out. But it was very evident in this woman's life that she was a servant and a giver, and again, was so helpful in our time of need. So if you would like your home to embody some of these same traits, just remember, keep things simple, keep things orderly, be at home, establish good systems, create a life for yourself where you don't need to feel crazy, rushed, or hurried. And if you're in the same stage of life as me with small children, you might be laughing at this, but I think it's still a good goal to keep in the back of our mind, even if our kitchen can feel 2% more serene, 2% more organized, efficient, welcoming, homey, then that is progress. And I think one more intangible way to have a kitchen and a home that feels like that is to have the love of Christ pouring out of you into your home. Can't always put a label on it, but they can absolutely feel it. So I think this is step number one in hospitality and hosting. It's not having people over, it is cultivating that feeling and that spirit in your home. And then as you advance and have people into your home, they'll just feel that. And the fancy menu or the pretty home or the fun activities become completely secondary. So yeah, I just felt so inspired, and that stuck with me for the past year. I think about her often, especially as we're coming through another fall. This woman needs a YouTube channel and she will never have one probably. So I just wanted to share that with you all today because it inspired me. To finish off the pot pie, your last step is to make homemade noodles. Now, if this doesn't feel old school Mennonite, I'm not sure what does. I did try to modernize it and take it into the 21st century by using culinary chefs' techniques for making noodles, by making a mound of flour in the middle of your surface and then adding the egg and kind of stirring it all together. But as you can see, that did not work. So when you download my recipe, the link is down below, follow that to a T. It's really not hard at all. I don't know why I thought I could fancy it up and try to be more professional. My foremothers knew what they were doing when they taught their daughters how to make noodle dough, and then my mom taught me. So a bowl will definitely help you out. But you hand cut them into little squares. Again, efficiency. We don't need fancy, long, interestingly shaped noodles. Squares are just fine and they taste amazing. Plop them into your boiling broth, and pretty soon you have the Mennonite version of chicken pot pie. And you will see here I added some saffron, which is a very common spice seasoning in my culture. It just adds a nice yellow color. If you add too much, you can taste it, which I don't mind the taste, but it's not like what I want to taste at the forefront. So I just do a few sprigs just to give that little yellow color. And you'll often see that used in Mennonite noodle dishes. But I served this alongside garlic bread and it was a hit.
We lift our hands up and pray, lay all our love before Him with all of our faith. He is the change within us, there is a light, let Him lead the way. Lift our hands up and pray today. Oh, pray. Oh, pray.
I should be no stranger to bulk preserving. After all, that's in my roots, and I grew up with a mom who canned lots of different vegetables and summer produce for the winter months. But maple syrup was definitely a new endeavor for us. I got a 5-gallon bucket straight from Vermont. My friend had a source and she hooked me up, and I texted all my sisters and we decided that we were gonna all each take 1 gallon and see what we thought. Till the end of this process, I was thinking maybe I should have just kept all 5 gallons for myself, because I've been giving it out as gifts. I've been using it on pancakes, in my iced coffees. I'm planning to try to find some ways to use it in homemade granola bars. And yeah, let me know down below all your recipes that use maple syrup, because we are practically swimming in it. But there's a lot of different ways you can preserve maple syrup. My one friend will just store it in mason jars with some headspace and put it in the freezer. It doesn't become completely hard, but becomes more gelatinous or thick. I was going to do that, but since I only got 1 gallon, I thought I will just store it in the fridge and it should be fine. My aunt from Montana said that's what she does and you should be good. Also, another one of my friends was planning to can hers, so you can do that as well. I'm not sure how it affects the flavor or if there's any nutrients that are killed by doing that, but that is another option. And since we all like a good price breakdown and want to know how frugal we're being, it was $175 for the 5-gallon bucket, which if you do the math correctly, that's $35 a gallon. So to me, that's about half price. Plus, that's the good stuff, straight from Vermont. So I'm excited about this. And let's just say, having an entire gallon of this in my home might just be a little dangerous. He said sauce. See sauce? What is it supposed to be?
Sauce.
Yeah. So cute. Sauce.
That's so cute. She says it perfect.
There is no staple in the Mennonite kitchen quite like a humble jar of applesauce. And every year, this time of year, I will preserve applesauce in some way. I might freeze it in the freezer, but most often we will can it. And I love doing it with my mom because she knows what's up. She keeps us on track. She has a Victorio strainer that processes the apples for us. So after we quarter them, take off the stems and the little knob on the bottom. We'll just quarter up the apples, throw them in a kettle with some apple juice. I've heard apple cider is really good too. And we'll just cook them down to almost a mush, not quite. And then we can run that through the Victorio strainer, and that makes it pretty much applesauce right there. And then you can also blend it, food process it. We use the immersion blender here just to get it a little smoother, and poured them into jars to cold pack them and can them.
Okay, guys. Behind the scenes with Megan.
Okay. So mom says I need to run all the peels through too yet, and she says there's gonna be applesauce coming out. I did not believe her. Look at this.
Well, that's stuff that was inside there. It's pushing
Go up here.
That's still
All that is making applesauce. That's crazy. Nothing goes to waste around here.
Yeah, that sounds disgusting.
I know it does. It's like gushy. We don't have a specific apple that we use every year. We often try different things, but my grandma, who is now passed, always preferred Cortland apples straight from New York. She liked the white centers and then the red shells, which makes nice pink applesauce, nice and sweet. And she just loved those kind of mushier apples, which for me, I like more crisp ones. But for applesauce, those soft apples are perfect. Today, we also did Blondie, which is the yellow version of Gala. And we also did some Golden Delicious, which makes the sauce pretty brown and not as pretty, but it actually tastes the best, so in my opinion. And there they are to serve all winter long. My ancestors have been doing this for decades and generations. It's the perfect baby food, the perfect salad or fruity addition to a meal. For me, I'm not an applesauce girl really, honestly. It definitely does taste better if you make it yourself than buying it at the grocery store, but I know there's a lot of options at the grocery store as well. And I've been recently getting into using applesauce more in recipes. I made muffins just the other week, and instead of so much oil, you added applesauce, and it gave it a great texture and flavor and added some sweetness as well. And of course, the most classic way to eat applesauce is to pour it over a slice of chocolate cake. My husband, this is his favorite way to eat applesauce. In this area, I feel like applesauce is a jack of all trades, and we use it often. So apples are just the fruit of the season. I love them so much. This weekend, I offered to bring apples to a barn party we're going to. And sometimes it feels a little ridiculous just showing up with a bunch of apples. So I thought I would share with you a couple dip recipe options. One is healthier, one not so much. This is just a good base. You can totally play around with it and make it however you want to. Got my trusty stand mixer here. I'm gonna go in with 2 blocks of cream cheese, and they're a little bit softened. I'm doubling this batch, by the way, because this is for a crowd. And then I'm doing a cup of brown sugar. We're gonna whip that together. I'm gonna measure since I'm doubling. If it was just making one batch, I wouldn't have to probably, but I'm gonna do 2 tablespoons of vanilla. Okay, and I'm gonna bring up the speed a little. I just like the basic brown sugar version. So simple and so delicious. My kids are napping, so I guess I get to lick the beater. Okay, next, I am using what I have here. A lot of recipes call for plain Greek yogurt, and then you add honey. So I'm gonna just skip the honey for now because I'm using vanilla yogurt from September Farm. If you guys are locals, you know how good this stuff is. So I'm assuming it'll already be sweet enough, but if we need to, we can always add in the honey. And then since we're trying to be a little bit more health conscious, I'm gonna use natural peanut butter. Now the recipe that I use as a base is for way less Greek yogurt. So I'm not gonna really measure on this peanut butter. We're just gonna go for it. Okay, then I'm gonna add in a ton of cinnamon. I would be tempted to try pumpkin pie spice, but since this is for a crowd and not for just my family, we're not gonna experiment today. So basically we have vanilla yogurt, peanut butter, cinnamon. We're gonna whip that like crazy. Okay, so you can see how it is pretty runny, probably because of the natural peanut butter. So instead of honey, I'm gonna add in some powdered sugar to give it a little bit more fluff and body, but you could totally leave that out. I'm just doing that more for consistency, plus it'll be a little sweeter, it'll be good. Again, very good. Much more peanut butter forward. Love that too. Okay, here we have it. Definitely more runny, but wow, so good. And then of course, I'm also gonna bring a traditional caramel dip because that's what people expect. Another way you could go that's absolutely simple and wows a crowd. You just go to, you can really go anywhere. Walmart has this now, but look for the cookie butter. There's Biscoff brand, there's a bunch of different ones. They're all really good. And just take that, take it out of the packaging, stick it in a bowl, and it's instantly impressive. It's so good. People are gonna ask you what you did, and you can just tell them it's cookie butter. But yeah, we're always eating apples around here. So let me know, do you have a good apple dip recipe I should try? Because I make dips all the time, and I feel like I'm always down to try a new one. So you really only need some milk, your espresso, and some maple syrup to make a really stellar iced coffee. But you know me, I like to go the extra mile, especially in the fall, and I wanted to share with you my newest concoction, which is white chocolate pumpkin mocha coffee syrup. It is absolutely divine. You will be wanting to eat it by the spoonful, so I would suggest making it when you know friends are coming over and you can share it with them. It is so good, and it lasts forever in your fridge. I'm not gonna give you a timestamp on it because I keep mine in the fridge embarrassingly long and like to keep it there year round. Now, I've never made the pumpkin version before, so this was absolutely a hit. I will include the recipe on my website. You gotta try it out. I used white almond bark because I could not find good quality white chocolate. Now, I'm pretty picky with white chocolate because I don't like it, but I'm telling you, this syrup is so good and pairs so perfectly with pumpkin spice, and all those things. So definitely try this one out. You can make it in the microwave, but I like to do the stovetop. You basically just need to melt everything down and make sure everything's incorporated well. It's really not hard. And potentially there'll be small little lumps in it from the white chocolate and then also the little bit of cocoa powder that goes in it, which I don't mind at all. I think it adds to the experience when you get a little chunk while you're sipping your coffee. But if you don't like that, you can absolutely strain it to make it feel a little more bought, commercial. Not sure why we want to do that. Like, let's embrace the homemadeness of this amazing syrup. I took this along to a cabin weekend with my cousin and my siblings and all their kids, and it was a hit. Pairing it with my pumpkin whip topping just made these an absolute treat.